All right, hello and welcome everybody to the day after the draft ended. And I know we had like that initial reaction show, but I just wanted to come on and kind of just share the reactions after the draft. We only did round one with the initial reactions. So Carl's nice enough to be able to join me tonight at the drop of a dime. I just kind of out of nowhere, and yeah, how you doing tonight, Carl?
Really, really good, man. Hope you're doing good as well. So,
I am doing good, and I hope everybody else is doing good too. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get initial reactions and thoughts about the draft. And I'm standing kind of firm with my reaction, even though David's kind of already disagreed with me and gone back and forth. And it seems like you will too. So, dude, let's start at the top. Round one, pick 10. How do you like Colson Logan?
I mean, I'm the Michigan man, the Michigan fan. I'm supposed to like the pick, right? But we've talked about the idea of taking a tight end at 10th overall at nauseum, right? We talked about Tyler Warren, Tyler Warren, Tyler Warren. Well, I hated that idea. Now, I do admit that Colston Loveland is a much better fit for the Chicago Bears in their scheme. I think that Loveland is a lot. Honestly, I would call Loveland the perfect complement to Cole Kmet. But the problem here is, do you need to take that at 10? Now, the more I think about it, too, I guess, this draft class didn't have a lot of blue in it, not a lot of blue chip elite prospects. Yeah, Ricky, you're not wrong there. I mean, it is a fair comparison. I do not, again, as the Michigan fan, I don't think that Loveland even has a rat's chance to become Travis Kelsey in the sense that Kelsey's arguably the best tight end in the entire NFL history, right? There's just no chance of that, in my opinion. But I think the way that draft fell, I'm sorry, taking the tight end there is not the worst thing that could have happened. If I had to give it a grade, I just spoiled it, but I would give it a B minus, just because again the optics of it. I took a tight end in the top 10. That's terrible. But the way the board fell, the quality of player, the fit, the scheme, it all makes sense to me. So again, I give it a B minus.
Yeah, and so like I said, I went back and forth with David on this. I'm gonna stand put. I don't like the pick. I mean, I hope once again, we're back to hope. I'm always sitting here hoping with this damn team. I hope he winds up being, a good player that's worth that value at pick 10. I know you can use tight ends in different ways. I know he's probably a good scheme fit. I know what the Lions did with Laporta. I've heard it all. Um, but like just, we passed the Brock Bowers last year. Now David's like, oh well, last year Eberflus was here, this and that. Okay, but the same GM was here, so now we're just kind of like running in circles. If you really wanted a good tight end, you could have gotten Brock Bowers last year.
Now, Paul, if this helps you at all, Tyler Warren has no chance to become Brock Bowers whatsoever. It literally is impossible because he's a completely separate, different player. I think that the value for Tyler Warren is after the catch, right? But if you wanted Brock Bowers last year, this is the closest thing I've seen to Brock Bowers. That's how good Loveland can be.
Okay,
Again,
okay,
I don't like the idea of taking a tight end in the top 10. I can give you a couple names that I would have preferred that literally were there for the Bears to draft. Honestly, let's do that if you're okay with that, because I want to know what your reaction to those players would have been.
1 second. Um, First, I just want to get this out there. Now, this is from last year, so I believe um there's been another one in Brock Bowers because Brock Bowers did have 1,000-yard season, right? But before Brock Bowers did it, last year, before the draft started, there was a tweet that came out that said in the last 10 years, 9 tight ends have been picked in the first round. They've combined for 0 all pro nods and 1,000-yard season. One of 9, David Njoku, got a second contract from the team that drafted him. Okay, now, like I said, Brock Bowers adds another 1,000-yard season to that, but that's just recent history for first round tight ends. You mentioned Travis Kelsey. You know what round he got picked in? Third, I believe. Top of
Oh,
the
I
third.
think he was a day three pick. It was either the fourth or the
Okay.
fifth round.
63rd overall.
Who?
Travis Kelsey.
Oh, that's a second round pick.
63rd. I believe that's the top of the third round.
No, I mean 32 teams, right? 32,
It
64.
said first selection of the third round, 63 overall. So I don't know
So,
what happened that year.
something happened. Either no
Right. But
compensatory pick, someone lost a pick.
right. And then dude, Gronk was drafted in the second round, wasn't he? Like, dude, you could what I'm saying is typically you get these guys even outside of the first round, and it's fine.
The only added
Pick 10, man.
context, the only added context I can use to push back is that this was not a top-heavy draft by any stretch. Literally, pick 10. Every single blue player in the draft was gone. It was a nightmare scenario for the Bears to watch Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Armband Bamboo, and yes, even Ashton Genty. Watching those players go before the Bears, Calvin Banks, maybe, I don't think he's a blue, but all those players before you at 10, it was the nightmare scenario. If you go back, by the way, we nailed that on the mock. Only thing we messed up on was Shador, but we were really
So
close.
so now in the past 2 years, last year we didn't have a second round pick, correct?
Um, yes, we did.
Did we?
Yes, we added a second because of the trade last year. I'm failing. We lost a second because of something, because of Chase Claypool.
There you go. Yeah, so we didn't
That wasn't
actually.
last year's
Yeah, we
draft,
went
though.
first round, third round. We went Caleb, Rome, and Karat.
Oh,
Right?
that's right. It was last year's draft. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Last year we did not
Yeah.
have the second round. So in the last 2 years, I mean, I get taking Caleb first overall. But then you're telling me first round you take Rome, wide receiver. Next year, first round you take tight end, and then you take another wide receiver right afterwards.
Oh, there's serious capital invested into this receiving core, man. And you could consider DJ Moore a first round pick because that's what he was equated to in that trade as well. So I do hear you. And again, not my favorite, but my favorite
Philosophy-wise, it
philosophy.
just makes no sense. But go ahead. You wanted to name some players that were there.
Yeah. So again, instead of pick 10, a couple slots after, pick 13, Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant. He's not an overpowering 3 technique like Chris Jones, but he's more of the 1 technique who could still be a pass rusher, in my opinion. He has untapped potential. I would have preferred that player. Another guy, another defensive tackle. This one I think is more of your school of thought where the player maybe has some off the field concerns, some inconsistencies in his play that you could offset with good coaching. I think I would have preferred Walter Nolan
Oh, I would
out
have
of
preferred
Mississippi
Walter Nolan,
State
for sure.
to not to Kenneth Grant, but to Colston Loveland. And how about this? I mean, this one is the one that I'm on the fence on. You saw how this draft played out. We're going to talk about it. You didn't get a starting running back. You got a rotational piece that you're hoping Eric Bieniemy can mold in the 7th round. I don't know if I'd rather have Omari and Hampton than Colston Loveland. I might. It's a starter.
I mean, I know Harmon was another guy that kind of stuck out to me a little bit that I liked, and seems good enough for the Steelers to pick him, and they usually know what they're doing. Yeah, I don't love it, man. I really don't. Just philosophy wise, I don't. Okay, is it a scheme fit? Sure. Like, okay. I guess what
To
I'm
be
trying
fair,
to say
it
is
is a perfect scheme fit.
okay, sure. But what I'm trying to say is like with the amount of draft capital you have invested on the offensive side, you're gonna need to be led by this offense. We
Oh,
saw that
absolutely.
fail. We saw that fail last year. Last year
Well,
it was supposed to transition. It was supposed to go from the defense to the offense. Why? Because you spent 2 top 10 picks on a quarterback and a wide receiver. Like at some point that has to impact it. So I was looking for that late in the season, and no, both fell apart, right? Like the defense fell apart and the offense could not lead the team, could not put them on their shoulders. So like
I
this
don't think
year,
it's fair to criticize the offense last year, knowing that the coaching staff had serious turnover.
I'm not
It should have been good
criticizing them
before
per
then.
se as much as I am just stating what happened. Like they didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like it was definitely not an offensive led
Yeah.
team, Carl. So
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
it was just a bad team led by poor coaching, is what that was last year. But
Sure, for whatever
now
reasons.
the investment into the pass catchers should not apply to Ben Johnson's era. And the more I'm thinking about this, having a bright young mind, some will call him the best offensive play caller in the NFL, your new head coach Ben Johnson, if you're playing chess, not checkers, you need to have some damn good chess pieces. So maybe he really doesn't, he being Ben Johnson, really thinks that they need an upgrade at tight end. And whenever we start talking about this wide receiver, I mean, that is my favorite pick of the litter from this draft class.
Um, yeah. So, like, I don't mind it so much if we didn't take tight end at pick 10, but because of that, following it up with a wide receiver kind of just puts a little shade on it. However, um, I've heard nothing but good things about this kid. I know I saw Randall L was super excited when they drafted him. I've heard that he's a first round talent. One of my buddies told me he should have definitely been gone in the first round.
Let me tell you
So
this.
like if you are just doing BPA straight out, and that was what they felt was there to pick, I mean, I get it. Uh Once again, it doesn't fit the philosophy too much because of the previous picks, but yeah, I mean, not bad. That one, I'll give a solid B plus. You know what I mean?
That's again, I also have a B plus grade on that. That's tied for my highest grade in the draft for the Chicago Bears. What if I told you that at the end of the 2023 college season, or sorry, at the end of the 2024 season? No, it would have been the 2023 season. We just ended the 2024 season, okay? End of the 2023 season. Some, not all, considered Luther Burden to be the best prospect in college football, period.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not know that.
Had the potential to be the number one overall pick in this year's draft based on projections, whatever you want to say, right? So Luth, I'm not willing to call it an A plus because it's an embarrassment of riches, but it truly is a richness in the sense that that player probably, for my money, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in the draft. And it's so ironic that the Carolina Panthers, who had Steve Smith torch the Chicago Bears in 2005 and I believe in 2006, the Panthers then traded the heir apparent in DJ Moore to the Bears. They traded a second round pick that was then spent to acquire a wide receiver who mimics Steve Smith Sr. Luther Burden is just a home run, incredible pick. And if it wasn't for the fact that we already had DJ, already had Rome, and just drafted a tight end, I would give Luther Burden an A grade. The draft pick,
And
that is.
and you know what, Carl? And this is exactly why I'm so firm. And it's year to year, pretty much. I mean, not always. Like I was for drafting Caleb and whatnot, not trading back, but like trading back has so much value because these guys are there in the second round. They are. You know what I mean?
So
Go
I don't know if we have the details for it, but how do you like that trade? Because the trade with the Bills that we did, we went from 41 to 50 and 60.
Not that trade. I'm
Okay.
saying trading out or trading back in the first round earns you those second and third round picks that then you can spend on guys like that. I mean, he was part of the Panthers package, wasn't he?
Who?
Luther Burden the third.
Yeah, yeah. Pick 39, the pick that we used to draft Luther Burden III, was the final piece. And I'll push back and say it's not quite the final piece of that Panthers trade, but as things stand currently, yes, that was the final piece.
So, I mean, we saw it play out in that scenario. And at that time, we still had Justin Fields here. It was still unproven what he could do. He needed another year. And in that situation, I was all for trading that pick away. And look at everything it got us, DJ Moore and all that. And even till today, drafting this guy, right? So I was for taking Caleb with the first pick, though. But this year, that's why I would have preferred, man, if you could have found yourself a suitor, if you could have found somebody to trade back with you, though, I don't know if they really loved Loveland. I mean, the pick came in pretty quick, but if you did have people calling you willing to trade up for it, I would have done that for sure. Because then you do get an additional second round pick probably in this year's draft. And maybe you do get that running back that you wanted as well out of all this. You know what I mean? But I mean, if we're willing to give guys these kind of high grades that are still picked in the second round, those second round picks are still valued pretty high.
Yeah, no, I can't refute anything you said. I mean, I heard a whisper, a rumor that Colson Loveland was the second overall player on the Bears board. So I think, honestly, maybe they wanted to trade up initially for either Graham or Genty, but those calls just resulted in those. The compensation required to do that was just too rich, right? So I think they decided to stick and pick, knowing that if they didn't take Loveland, it was going to be slim pickings for the tight ends that fit their scheme. Again, a little exercise I kind of went through when I recorded the video. instead of Colston Loveland, we could have drafted Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman, and then at pick 39 selected Jason Taylor, the tight end that ended up going to the Jets a few spots after that, right? So you'd have a worse tight end to play in that tight end 2 role, but there's definitely not the upside of it. So I don't know, man. The more I think about it as far as Ben Johnson and the rest of these picks too, I mean, everyone in this fantastic coaching staff essentially got a project. And Antoine Randall L., you saw what he did with Jameson Williams. I really think that Luther Burden was essentially a kind of a missing piece. We really didn't have that guy that could take the top off. I
Do you know
think
they
that
went to
I
high school
over.
together?
You mean the same high school, or what are you
I
talking about?
believe so. Jameson Williams and Luther Burden. They know each other.
Something about
The
St. Louis.
Jameson.
Something about St.
Oh,
Louis.
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it was college. I don't know.
No, they didn't go to the
No.
same college, but they
They
probably
went
did go
to
to the
school
same high school.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in St. Louis, I believe.
Because Jameson Williams texted Ben Johnson right when they picked him and told him like, "You got a dog like me," and this and that. So that's where that
Oh,
came.
I mean, as far as the emotional side too, right? Like you had a a lot of clean cut nice guys in that wide receiver room, man. This Luther Burden was the missing piece to it, in my opinion. But Luther Burden, we can talk about this, and I'll stop being silly regarding my thought here, right? Panthers trade is done until we trade DJ Moore. That's what I'm starting to look at. Not for this season. DJ Moore needs to stay on this football team and help Caleb Williams continue to ascend. But at the end of the season, maybe in 2 years' time, I think there's going to be a guy. When I say a guy, I mean a team that will think that they're a DJ Moore away, like kind of when the Vikings traded away Stephon Diggs to the Bills that first time. They got a first round pick for an aging wide receiver. We could
Right.
definitely do that.
Yeah, and I think at this point we're gonna have to. Like
If you
that's definitely a
want
piece
to
you're gonna
maxim-
have to float out there, man. You got to.
if you want to maximize the value of Luther Burden, which is where this is all coming from, is I'm very strong belief in Luther Burden. I don't know if he has more talent than Rome. I've been very bullish on Rome, but Luther Burden cannot be the third wide receiver for his time on this rookie contract. He needs to continue to elevate, elevate, elevate. And if that means sacrificing DJ Moore via trading him for serious compensation, at this point I'm all for it. Just not yet.
This is one of my buddies here, Jeff Wood. He always makes little videos, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Big Steelers fan, but he grades the Steelers grade a B plus. I actually really liked the Steelers draft personally, so I'm with you there, Jeff. I thought they did a really good job. But back to the Bears, yeah, with DJ Moore, dude, the one thing that hurts is you did sign a very favorable contract, but I mean you're still getting the use out of him, right? Like whether it's through this year and then you shop him around, or I mean dude, you got options now for sure, right? But yeah, that's the hard part is we all want to hang on to what these guys have done, but what's important is what's ahead of them, right? Like DJ Moore's had a fantastic career, has been a solid player, but like when I went to training camp, dude, he was moving around slow. He looked hurt at one point. I think he kind of like limped off at one point when people were a little worried, and I don't know. Dude, it's just it is what it is. Guys get old. Guys fall off a cliff. I mean, you can only be a number one wide receiver for so long. You know, God bless the guys like Larry Fitzgerald that knew when their time was over and receded in the line of priority when it comes to the wide receiver room. You know, and if you don't have that guy, if you have the guy that wants to be number one all the time, then yeah, sometimes you're better off shipping him away as they age. You know what I mean? Get whatever you can out of them. Hey, nice shot, didn't work. We could still trade them away, get some draft capital back. It's really not a bad plan. And like you said, it really just maximizes more of what that trade back from Carolina package really, trade back with Carolina package really gave us at the end of the day. So
Yeah. DJ Moore is currently 28 years old. He's already had his birthday on April 14th. So this time next year, he'll be 29. As long as DJ Moore plays the role that I think he will for the Bears in 2025, which is essentially Amon-Ra St. Brown, I still believe that Ben Johnson, if all things go well, it's going to be harder without a running game, which we'll talk about, but DJ Moore could supplant Amon-Ra in the public eye of being that elite top 5, top 10 wide receiver. I feel very strongly about that. So let's just say if slash here spoiler alert when the Bills get knocked off at home again by the Chiefs, they will say, "Hey, we're a wide receiver away. We're gonna be in the conference championship game every year. Let's just give Chicago pick 30 for DJ Moore." You got to do something like that. You have to.
Yeah, and dude, there's only so much football to go around. We literally saw this last year, and that's why I'm kind of upset because I just feel like we're putting the cart before the horse. Okay, I go back not this last year, but the season before that, when the Ravens were in the playoffs. Really, what cost them is their rookie wide receiver trying to extend the ball out for a touchdown and getting it fumbled and having to be called a touchdown. All that, you know what I mean? But it's like, dude, in that case, it did come down to your wide receiver 3 to make a play in the playoffs in a big moment. Okay, in those big moments, sometimes you need these guys to step up. I remember the Bills had a guy that was like the 4th wide receiver that had a 4 touchdown game, one playoff game. The Patriots have done it too. Like sometimes you do need these guys to be clutch and be talented down in the depth chart. Okay, I get it. Like it's not bad to have a stocked wide receiver room, but the kid got sacked 68 times. Right? So like what did Keenan Allen even do for you last year? Like it gets cute at a point when you can't protect up front. And that's why I almost kind of wish like the tackle and the defensive tackle picks would have been up front, and then they could have drafted their tight end and the wide receiver. I would have been so much more happier if they just did it in that order. I don't know. You got to address the trenches, man. You have to. It's not
when you
fun.
look
It's
at
not
the
sexy.
tight end
You got to
prospects,
do it, dude.
You'd have to have either gotten lucky with like a weird small trade down or essentially overdraft one of these project guys. I think that Jason Taylor would have been. It's I can't tell if it's Mason or Jason. I'm sorry. Whatever Taylor, the tight end. Let me take a look and see if I can find these tight ends real quick.
Yeah. And Tooch was telling me that Ashton Genty is going to be the engine that drives Ben Johnson's car. So looks like we don't have an engine, guys. We're fucked.
We can talk about that. I mean,
a running game
there's
is
going to be
important.
an issue with this running game.
There
It's
definitely
Mason Taylor.
is.
So again, I think Mason Taylor would have been a nice second round guy, but again, he definitely is not going to supplant Cole Kmet this year. Arroyo probably would have been fine. Again, another second round guy. I can't remember where he went. I don't like Terrence Ferguson. You could have taken a swing at Harold Fannin in the early third if you got that lucky trade down I said. But again, if you really are going to be high on 12 personnel and actually passing out of that 12 personnel, I think Loveland the pick makes sense. Again, just not my favorite. We've already talked about it, so.
No, it definitely does make sense, and that's what David was telling me. I get why they picked him. I'm not saying, I'm not sitting here calling him stupid or anything like that. I'm just saying I dislike it personally. Doesn't fit my personal philosophy and approach to the way a team should be built. But I mean, dude, I'm just like I said, I'm just a guy that
No,
talks
I'm
football
sorry.
here. Like I'm
I'm
not in the
referring to
draft room.
Melon
And,
Smasher in the chat. He's
yeah,
not.
I know.
He's injured, but he's not. It's not like we took Josh Simmons, so I think that you're overreacting here, Melon Smasher.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the kid will pan out and be good. But like, dude, for pick 10, you can get some impact players, dude. I think you got to think about it like this. Let's go back a couple of years to when we had Justin Fields. One of the issues I saw with Justin Fields was that he would shoot himself in the foot, right? Like on second down or on first down, you would have a negative play and you'd wind up in like a 3rd and 15, and then he makes some miracle play to convert it, right? But not always, because 3rd and 15s are fucking impossible, right? So when he does make the play, it looks great. But overall, when they talk about complementary football, what you want to be is in 3rd and 3 and shorter. And you get that by having an effective running game, by having balance. You know what I mean? And dude, there's definitely balance on the other side of the football. A defense can make things so much more easier for an offense by putting them in better field positions. And dude, the type of impact that a defensive end can have on a game, it needs to be studied more. Dude, it's a drive killer when they get a sack. It just kills an entire drive, and you don't get many of those games. So, like, I don't know, man. I think the impact that a defensive tackle or a defensive end could have made is also a lot higher than an impact that a tight end's going to make for you. I mean, unless you
I
like
think
drafted Gronk, you know what I mean, dude.
I think
Which you
that's why
didn't.
you had the conversations, the whispers of trading up from the Bears, because as cool as Ashton Genty as running back would have been, I honestly think that those trade talks were surrounding Mason Graham, because as far as impact pass rushers in this draft go, I think we were. I don't know. There's a lot of guys who I thought would contribute to a strong top end and then it tapered off, but a lot of these guys, there's always like this one hiccup, like, oh, the guy has sexual assault allegations. Oh, the guy's immature. Oh, the guy primarily is a off-ball linebacker who is projected to be an edge rusher. It's like there wasn't a can't miss thing outside of Abdul Carter. So maybe they tried to get up to 3 and grab Abdul Carter from the Giants. I don't know about that, but
Carl, you know what I heard today?
what?
Um, you know who has more concussions than NFL players?
What do you mean?
Like, who out there has more concussions than NFL players? Their wives.
It was a bad attempt at a joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, and you throw my face on that too to slander it.
I
Perfect.
did,
That
yeah,
was
for sure.
incredible. That was incredible. No,
Yeah,
I
dude. Yeah, so these guys do have issues, but like, I care about the play on the field. As long as they're not in jail, that's all that really matters to me. Or
Yeah.
facing charges that would land them in jail and prevent them from playing football. I don't care how bad of a person you are. I don't care if you're like Nastopicon Sue and you want to go out there and bash somebody's head in.
Nastopicon. That's amazing.
Fine with me. Go out there and produce, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Flex Diggs, I agree. Mike Green for the Ravens, probably a match made in heaven. It's just he's got to stay off the fentanyl over there in Baltimore, right? So I hear you, but we're not the Ravens. We haven't won our division 10 out of 12 years, gone to the playoffs the last 15 years, have a consistent, streamlined series of success. Like, we're just not there yet. And someone else made a comment earlier about how many all pros or pro bowlers has Poles drafted. It's all predicated on winning. So get the guys in the building, start winning. He said that's the problem. That came from Virginia.
Oh, it's fantastic. That was a great answer to that. Yep. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm losing my train of thought.
Yeah, no,
Sam
no.
H. Bears have zero domestic abuse tolerance policy,
I'm
unlike
not-
Michigan State.
I'm not sitting here promoting domestic abuse. God, somebody's gonna clip this. This is gonna go bad. I'm just saying, dude. Like,
Turn my camera off.
yeah, here we go. Yeah, Carl's gone. No, I'm just saying. Exceptions are made for people, but you know what it really truly is, Carl. And I think we could talk about Shador Sanders with this and why he dropped. Teams don't like guys that have baggage. And it doesn't have to be bad baggage. Look at Tim Tebow. Do you remember what that circus was like?
I mean, you just described it. It was a circus.
Dude, that's exactly what it was. But it wasn't bad. The guy didn't do anything bad. He just brought a lot of baggage with him, a lot of attention, a lot of media, everything like that. Teams don't like that shit. They really don't. For whatever reasons. But yeah, I think Shador definitely brings that with him as well.
And not to sound like a know-it-all or a quarterback whisperer, but like all these guys just suck. That's why Shador Sanders went in the 5th round, is because if you take away Travis Hunter, and I'll even say Jimmy Horn, he's a draft pick. If you take those guys away, and I know you could say, oh, if you take away that from Caleb Williams, you know what I'm trying to say, right? This is an elite player against subpar competition. He didn't beat the brakes off of anyone. He's just a bad quarterback. I hate the R word when it comes to that stuff. There's no blackballing. Don't be stupid. He's a bad quarterback. And there is something to say about the baggage. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, Deion's a great guy. Who cares about any of that? He's just a bad quarterback.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair. So, moving on with the pick. Dude, I don't like. I mean, I guess I don't mind trading back with the Bills, but I just felt like they got really weird and cute with the trade backs, and especially for ones that don't bring you great value in return. You're not trading back in the first round. Like you're once you get to the later rounds, you're not getting much for making these moves. So what it does though, Carl, is it speaks to their confidence of what they believe their talent evaluation skills are. And when that fails, in my opinion, it'll be even more there'll be way more criticism, at least coming from me, if it fails. Because it's like not only did you do this, but you were like sure of it because you played around and you're like, no, we're still gonna get our guy, we're fine because we have our board and everything like that. Dude, we saw the same thing play out with Ryan Bates. And I said the same thing with him. Dude, they chased after that guy for like 2 years.
No, yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So it's like once you
the
got
Bills
him,
trade, I don't know if you want me to put it on screen or whatever the case is. The official terms of that first trade with the Bills. You trade away pick 41, pick 72, which is that, terrifying third round for Ryan Poles, and a 7th round pick, all in this year's draft, and you receive a later 2nd round pick, 56, a much earlier 2nd round pick, 62, as opposed to 72. That's starting to sound bad. Oh, and then instead of having pick 240, you pick up pick 109.
yeah, you moved up like 100 something spots.
So here's the thing, right? You step down from 41 to get 2 picks in the end of round 2, which they, I think, said they had a cluster, right? And the players we got in return, I kind of like them. But the key here to pick up 109 is the start of day 3. They could have thought that someone would want Shedeur at that point. So I think that achieving that start of day 3 pick was really good. It was a wash, in my opinion, because you traded down and moved up in some spots, but it was a wash between an organization that has made 5 draft day trades in the last 2 years. So I like it. I think it's fine. I think it's nice to kind of have that camaraderie in NFL circles. Not to say there's any collusion or anything. I can bring you a collusion story if you want, but I like that trade. And the players we got, we could talk about them. I got those slides if you want to throw them up.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Ozzy Trapillo.
Yeah. So the shtick with this guy is that obviously he's got elite traits. The speed kind of sticks out to me too, that 10-yard split. So if he is a tackle that needs to get out in space for outside zone runs, whatever, I think he can handle it. And this is why I asked you if you listened to the post-game or post-draft interviews with these kids. This Ozzy Trapillo kid, he is very, very impressive as far as he speaks. I could see him being a coach one day. But again, you can see the summary over there at the bottom. In the bottom left corner specifically, this is Dane Brugler. Hope you know who that is. I love this guy. Dane Brugler had him as a 3rd-round pick, so maybe we overdrafted him. But again, summary, overall, Trapillo is a towering athlete and can be jarred at the contact on occasion, but he has swing tackle traits with his smooth weight distribution and impressive strike timing, which he uses to consistently complete the mission. It wouldn't be surprising to see him compete for starting right tackle reps as a rookie. So again, my problem with this pick is the position. You're going to spend pick 56 on a backup right tackle? So I think something else is more than meets the eye with this pick.
So, yeah, I mean, unless you're going to swing Darnell over to left.
Or this kid's our starting left tackle, right? That's
one or the other.
What are we doing there? So it's one of those two things, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. You needed a lineman, though. Like I said, you needed to get trenches. So, yeah, I would have, I'm not terrible on the philosophy here. Like this made me a little happier because we need to protect that kid. So, yeah, I hope he's good. He looks like very athletic. And then, yeah, Shamar Turner, defensive tackle.
So obviously the RAS score looks terrible and is far from being completed. But the shtick here is that Shamar Turner, there's a couple different things here, right? So the first line under the summary, he was a 3 technique in his senior year at Texas A&M. Bears, they essentially need a 3 technique, especially in the rotation, in my opinion, right? But there it says he played snaps everywhere from 0 to 7 technique, meaning that he can essentially play anywhere interior. Could probably play outside in like a NASCAR weird situation. Probably won't be seeing a lot of that, for being honest. But look at the grade. 56 overall. We got him at pick 62. Screams value. and then a little tiny added bit of context, which was posted from Brad Biggs yesterday, or 2 days, whatever it was. Shamar Turner played with a stress fracture in his shin all of last year. Without that, he could have been a first-round pick. So that's why you move up. You take a little bit of a risk, like you're the fentanyl Philadelphia Eagles, and you take a swing on an injured player who shouldn't be there. I like it. The problem is this player needs to replace a terrible, terrible Zach Pickens, and he needs to stick. He needs to hit.
And, we saw what happened with Zach Pickens, so as long as that doesn't repeat, I think it should be fine. I don't think you're going to ask this kid to do too much, and I think
that's why this pick has a chance to succeed, because I think that Grady Jarrett, who will not primarily be playing nose tackle, I saw an advanced metric for Grady Jarrett that said that he was just insanely good against double teams. So if we're talking about this like positionless defensive line, put Grady Jarrett at nose and have this kid come in to spell Gervon Dexter. That is what I'd like to see in, let's call it, an obvious passing situation.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that for sure. Regardless though, if he produces well, probably move up in that rotation a little bit, or we can see what he's capable of. But third round is usually a little bit late to take defensive tackle. But yeah, like you said, you're taking a little flyer, a risk here with this guy, and hoping that
it's the middle to the end of the second round. So
okay.
And again, this player, according to probably the Bears who selected him, they probably had a first round grade on Shamar Turner. So when you say, okay, I need to get Ozzie Trapillo, the general manager, I'm Ryan Poles talking right now, right? I need to get Ozzie Trapillo on my team because his dad is my friend. Whatever. Trade back and get him. Now, for the first time in 4 picks, I'm going to select a defensive lineman who has a first-round grade. I think that it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can move on. Now, I know my one buddy really liked this linebacker.
It's the other PDF you'll have to add.
Gotcha. There we go.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who said that this was a great pick. I don't know much about this guy, but yeah, I mean, we need the position as well. So, like I said, happy to see defense.
Just as far as like my neck of the woods on this kid, I've got nothing. A lot of my information will come from the Beast. No write-up anything from Dane Brugler on this player. He was considered best of the rest. So the 35th best off-ball linebacker at pick 132, where maybe, just maybe, he slips to undrafted free agency. I mean, there's a little bit of added stuff. He did have a 30 visit. He seemingly played very well for Maryland and had a big game against Penn State, who's a great organization. Spoke very highly of the teammates that he now has. So I can see why, right? You can't teach speed, but he's very undersized. There's some, unofficial, unprofessional speculation that this kid could be moved to safety. I think that'd be stupid.
That would be stupid. Yeah, I saw some video on him. I mean, dude, he looks like he's got very good reaction, in my opinion. As soon as he needs to strike, like he's already half a step in. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's good. He's able to split defenders, get to the ball a little bit. But that's, just from highlights. I don't sit there and watch college tapes. I don't know. You don't get to see the bad, right?
No, definitely.
Unless you go through and do your homework, for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to find that. A very unprofessional, maybe worthless take here. Maryland and Rutgers. We're going to talk about Rutgers a little bit later. Those two schools play Michigan very freaking well, Paul. So if we're getting a player that has, unbeknownst to me, played very well against Michigan, I would not be surprised, because those two schools seem to always put up a serious fight against Michigan. So
I love your mindset. It's Michigan, and then everybody that plays against Michigan.
It's my strongest reference point, right? Like that's why I was so high about the kids from Texas. That roster was loaded. It was strapped to the gill, and they beat the ever-living you-know-what out of Michigan. except for their quarterback. Their quarterback's terrible, and now he's the insurance policy for Tua turn the ball over. But we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, hoping this pick works out. And like I said, they got really cute with the trades here. And yeah, I got nothing on the rest of the guys. So if you are willing to just show your slides here,
Yeah,
there we go. We got
so Zay Frazier, it looks like Za, it's Zay, right? Zay Frazier is essentially your Jalen Jones replacement. Thankfully, we are giving a guy who has, according to this RAS score, he has elite speed from the composite grades there. Mr. Dane Brugler essentially classified him as a bump and run corner there with speed and coordination to clean the receivers and find the football when his technique stays consistent, right? So we're talking about a talented athlete physically who has consistency issues. Sounds like the perfect guy to bring into your facility and get coached up by a damn good coach being Al Harris, right? So again, that seems when literally he's using the word gamble. This seems like an incredible gamble. I'm again not saying I've watched all the tape and cross-referenced all this stuff. I'm just saying Zay Frazier, he's the player. He is third in my grades. I gave him a B grade. I've got Luther Burden a B plus, and then our running back we'll talk about. I gave that a B plus too. But I actually adore this draft pick. I think that listen to the kid talk as well. He's humble yet inspires confidence. I don't know, man. Zay Frazier, kid to look out for.
yeah, and I mean you always need depth at that position. You know, so many teams go out there and play at least 3 wide. Like you're always lining up in nickel. You got 3 of these guys out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a situation.
They get beat up.
We saw Josh. We saw Josh Blackwell play serious time. We saw Elijah Hicks play serious time. I mean, you need the depth, definitely.
Definitely. Yep. So moving on, offensive guard, and dude, this is where you can take them. You can find guys in the 6th round even that wind up panning out and being contributors to your football team. So it's nice to get some depth here.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that RAS score, nothing standing out as far as the height or the weight, right? He's a little bit, we'll call him an undersized lineman. I think he played tackle primarily, right? Yeah, almost exclusively left tackle. And this is exactly, it was like a microcosm for his NFL, right? Because when you go from Holy Cross to the Big Ten, it's a big step up. It's not huge, but you go from being an elite left tackle to only being able to play guard because you don't have the long enough arms, whatever the case is, right? So again, if we're talking about the move to the NFL, the pinnacle of competition, he's not going to be a tackle. He's got no chance, in my opinion. Guard,
Yeah.
hopefully. Center, maybe. And if you look at the speed, you can't teach speed. So this is another guy you're drafting off of traits.
Yeah, TB17. That's what we got right now. So deal with it. You know, if you want football, you got to wait. That's what it is. We all want it. We all want football players. We all want to see it.
More elite
right now,
insight from Ampharius.
More elite insight.
Newman was pretty good against the Michigan defense. Would you look at that?
All righty. So then after this, finally get what everybody wanted, a 7th round running back.
No, again, I've been told by a certain someone with a 3-letter acronym for their name that this running back is the definition of take that RAS score, crumple it up, light it on fire, maybe pee on it. It doesn't matter. The kid plays faster than these RAS score. He definitely plays stronger. Again, giving this a draft or a letter grade, I've got this tied for the best pick we've made with a B+. Not to say that I think that Monangai is going to allow us to cut DeAndre Swift, as much as that would make me happy in the short term. I think it's a guy that'll compete. And again, fabulous coaching staff. Eric Bieniemy, former co-head coach in Washington. Are you really that good of a running back coach? Put it on the table, just lay it out on me. I want to see how good of a coach you are, and let's get something out of this guy. The pundits, they gave him a 4th to 5th round grade. And we drafted him in the 7th? Kid could be a steal.
Yeah, you never know with that position. I mean, it's a dime a dozen. Get in there and produce. I'll agree to disagree, but yeah, you got the opportunity when you get it. Go make the most of it, and dude, you could totally totally have a career in this league, even as a 7th-round pick running back.
Kyle looked good against Illinois. Foster, that doesn't inspire any confidence. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean that's all of them, right? So overall, I thought the later half of the draft was more calming to me than the top of the draft. Just picking those two guys up front, those positions, tight end, wide receiver, kind of shook me a little bit. But hey man, if they produce, that's all that matters at the end of the day, right? So nobody's going to care where they got drafted if they're out there putting up numbers.
Yesterday should have been the last day that we cared about where these players are drafted at this point, right? Like if we're talking about in the future, would we have preferred Colson Loveland or Mason Taylor, whatever the kid's name is, right? Doesn't matter. They were drafted essentially a round apart, but it's the same position and the same draft. That's what matters at the end of the day, right? It's about getting them coached up and the execution. So if the running back is great for us, that's incredible. We only had to spend a 7th-round pick. If our linebacker we drafted allows us to kick out Tremaine Edmonds and his incredibly high cap hit, right? Replace him with Edwards, move him over, we extended him, and have Hiplight be our outside backer, that would be incredible. Will it happen? Let's be honest, probably not. But anything can happen. It's going to be, how can these kids adapt to the NFL? And again, I think the world of this coaching staff, how good are they?
Yeah, and you don't want to put, guys out of position and ask them to do too much. It's something that the Patriots were able to do year in and year out really well. Just put guys in the right position and ask them to do one thing, not everything. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this takes time. It takes time to transition things over. We still do have Tremaine Edmonds. You know what I mean? So, with time, let this kid see the field a little bit. Let's see what he's got. Hopefully he'll make some plays. Yeah, hopefully all these guys produce. I mean, that's what we want at the end of the day, right? So, man, season can't start fast enough. Training camp can't start fast enough. I'm excited, man. This is always a good time. But now it's the long wait after this, right? So,
yeah, there's going to be some supplemental things we can do, play around with. All the UDFAs are coming in, and that will lead to your roster constructions and picking the 53. We're going to get video and hype videos or content for hype videos, I should say, regarding the rookie mini camp, and there's kind of a pre-camp before actual training camp. I forgot what it is. Maybe it's veteran mini camp. I don't know what it is. What's Mr. Atmos saying here?
He's asking if I could put up the address to Hallis Hall so people who have complaints can write letters to them.
I have the Zillow listings for
it is 19
houses.
1920 Football Drive, Lake Forest, Illinois.
If I put up the addresses for that mansion that we saw Eberflus living in on Hard Knocks, as well as what I believe is Ryan Poles' house, how fast would this channel get terminated?
We would get the same type of reaction that those guys who were prank calling the draftees got.
Do you know
posting that video?
Do you know who those kids were?
No idea.
One of them was the son of like someone on the staff for the Falcons, dude. So it was the Falcons that ended up leaking it. Yeah, tell me about it.
Yikes! Talk about shitty, man. And then to post it afterwards. It's one thing to torture somebody and record it, and then to share it live, or not live, but to share it just in general with the internet. I mean, it's generation, man.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's very, very embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm curious what Melon Smash is going on about. He says they need to check Hallis Hall for a carbon monoxide leak.
Yeah, I mean, he's been negative from the start, so. No, he's saying carbon monoxide leak because they're all, that stuff gets you loopy.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean.
Stew Dog 81.
I don't know if you got anything else, Carl, but yeah, I kind of just want to go through and then do this little video tonight and just say what's up to everybody and kind of just get, the initial reactions out there. And so, yeah, definitely scratch that itch. So thank you.
What about this? Mr. Ricky Mosby is saying we should bring in Nick Chubb for a look. I mean, would you add a veteran like that to this running back room?
It doesn't hurt to give a guy a look, right?
No, I mean, I think that you'd sign Nick Chubb knowing that he's going to be on your roster in some capacity. Maybe it's a guy who you think could be a starter and he's not quite good enough. so you have to relegate him to that running back 2 role. But
Right. And has he been in
who
that role
who
yet in his career?
eh I
Not
feel
really,
like
right?
the Browns have always had a strong back rotation, and ironically they continue that with this draft. Um, but Nick Chubb was always the lead guy. He just whenever he was injured, it wasn't like a little thing. It was a very serious injury. So
Yeah.
I feel like Chubb is a bit of damaged goods, so the money would have to make sense. But if you sign Nick Chubb, you can't keep all these guys. So who are you going to kick out? Are you going to kick out Roshan Johnson? Are you going to fail to sign your kid from Rutgers, the rookie? Are you going to cut Ian Wheeler? Are you going to cut Travis Homer? You know what I mean? Like, I just have no faith in Roshan Johnson to be the thunder to the lightning of Swift. And that makes me feel like Swift is going to be the lead back again. And that lightning is not going to be lightning. It's going to be urine. Like, it's going to be bad. He's just not able to lead an NFL backfield anymore.
No, and that's fair. I think we're definitely looking at more of a rotation this year, for sure. Like if Roshan Johnson was your running back 3, it's not the worst thing in the world.
I
So
was gonna say technically was he, but he wasn't. Like, I don't know what the issue with him is. I don't know if the because I don't want to pretend like I'm a big X's and O's like technical guy, right? What's different between our running game from last year to this year? I know that we're going to be running a lot of outside zone where our offensive linemen aren't just going to start blocking right where they're at. They're going to move to a spot, right? Move
yeah,
the
hope
line of scrimmage a little bit. Is that really going to help out a Roshan Johnson? I don't think so.
I don't know, but it could make a huge difference. Dude, the lineman and the scheme can make a really big difference in a running game. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
And
Player.
I don't like the idea of developing an offense where it's pass first. I like when it's designed with balance and
Balance.
you
Yep.
have a quarterback in a passing game that can do that. But if you're relying on second year Caleb Williams in a brand new scheme with a second year wide receiver being one of his primary options, you can't rely on that to then open up the running game because you're going to sell out to stop the pass some games immediately. This running game is not something like what the Chiefs had to do against Barkley and sell out to stop it. There's going to be none of that. So you're going to have light boxes against the Bears to start the year. And if you don't have a rushing game that can take advantage of that, I'm going to be so pissed because there is a laundry list of guys in each round. You passed on Omari and Hampton. You passed on R.J. Harvey. You even in the day 3, you passed on these douchebags from these no names from Kansas, DJ Giddens. Give me something.
Yeah, and you kept trading back, which lets me know that you're confident in what you're doing.
And hey, I was really close. Remember when I said, hey, there's a chance 5 running backs get picked before the Bears pick at 39? You said, no, crack pipe Carl, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I was going to make the overlay
you
of
got
the crack
fucking,
pipe.
you got fucking sniped by the great Mike Vrabel, who maybe he had a loose connection to that draft board when he did the interview, and he said, oh, these guys are looking there. I'm just going to take them right before you do it. And by the way, he stuck it to the Bears. Mr. Irrelevant is the long snapper that the Bears wanted to draft or get in UDFA.
The Patriots had a great draft, in my opinion.
On paper.
Yeah, on paper. That's how it always is, man. The Seattle Seahawks back in the day got an F grade for drafting Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson. And so you never know. You know what I mean? You truly never know.
Prometheus,
you got to watch it all play out.
What does Prometheus mean when he says no premier running back? Are you saying the Bears don't have one, the Bears don't need one, or the Bears weren't able to acquire one in the draft? Because I would say that they missed the opportunity to draft serious upgrades to DeAndre Swift on all 3 days.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
You want to
I thought they were going to address that a little bit more than they did. So yeah, acquire. There you go.
I'm sorry, I just don't understand. But
they did not acquire a premier running back.
Yeah, definitely. They absolutely did not. So was that partly of Eric Bieniemy saying, hey, I like this Ian Wheeler kid? Hopefully. I really was very bullish on Ian Wheeler last year before that ACL tear. I would have been okay with Ian Wheeler edging out Roshan Johnson. Like,
you know why I prefer balance to an offense? It's something that Bill Belichick preached his whole career. Situational football. Man, I saw this little clip last year of Matt Ryan. I forget exactly what play it was on, but he was arguing with the other commentators around him because of the play was like they went on it on fourth down or something. And Matt Ryan was like, I would have kicked a field goal here and lived to play another day. Hopefully, had my defense stop him. And everybody else is like, no, you got to put it in the quarterback's hands. This and then he's like, guys, the quarterback that day was 7 for 21. He's like, he's having a bad day. And you're going to put it in his hands. It's situational, dude. These games go any which way. And yes, sometimes your passing game is going to struggle. And when it does, you need a good running game to sit there and pick you up from that stuff. And it all comes down to different situations and different games. And you need to be able to have the pieces and the players and the scheme and the knowledge, the cojones to call those plays when it matters to sit there and get things done in this league. And it does come down to 1 or 2 plays a game. And when we see it year in and year out. So yeah, the more you could prepare yourself, the better. And right now, if we had to lean on our running game to win a football game, I would be very skeptical that we're going to win that game.
Right, and it sucks because, how do I say this? Ben Johnson is losing 8 dome games a year for 8 outside games. And we know how the weather can get in Soldier Field. So, is that something that he's going to realize immediately and understand, hey, if our defense is having a bad game and I'm down by 2 scores, can I really afford to be throwing the ball around the yard? I don't know. I hope that it gets to the point where this offense is just lighting it up. 5,000 yards from Caleb Williams. Both your tight ends have 800 yards. Luther Burden's begging to be the third 1,000-yard receiver. Like, give me everything, right? But I just don't know if
we're
that's
fourth
possible.
in the division, and our quarterback got sacked 68 times last year, Carl. That's see that and that's my overall problem when it comes down to all this is like, dude, damn it. Like this might get too cute for me too quick. And the whole Ben Johnson thing, like I'm excited. It's got a lot of potential. They're definitely, I'll give them one thing. They're definitely all in on it, right? So if there's any one path that they're following, it's we're all in on Ben Johnson and his philosophy in the offense. And they're going to try and just maximize what they can get out of Caleb. But like, if it fails, it's going to be really fucking ugly, Carl. It's either going to be really good or really, really, really bad. And
you kind of want that.
I guess
you kind of want that. You don't want to be stuck in the middle, right?
I get it. I get it.
I do think that after the end of the 2025, this is going to be the 2025 season. Yes. At the end of this season, I think you'll know exactly what Caleb Williams will be in the NFL, and if you have a chance. And I'm fearful of them deciding that he's not good enough and pivoting for whatever which reason. That would suck. But I do truly believe that these guys are either going to be here for 10 years or they're going to be fired in 2. Like, it could flame out, man.
And you know, dude, once again, it's like we're going to be asking this kid to do a ton. A ton. You know, and with all those expectations, ideally not, but I mean,
asking him to do a lot in the sense that he's just going to play distributor, not hero ball, which is what the knock of Caleb Williams was coming out of college. So
we'll see. Like I said, you want to be in those 3rd and short situations. You want to be balanced. But we got fucking 4 wide receivers, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out and what kind of scheme exactly that they run and how the offense complements, you know, the other parts of the football team. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that Luther Burden, that pick, it has a secret compartment to it, if you will, that he could end up being a very elite punt returner. I know we signed Duvernay. I know we have Tyler Scott, all these other Jags. Luther Burden could be the Pro Bowl punt returner for the NFC. I mean, I think the world of Luther Burden. Again, not far off to say that he could have been the best wide. He could end up being the best receiver in this draft, and in that situation, your hands are tied. So,
yeah,
I think the final nail in the coffin for that Panthers trade will be allowing DJ Moore to explore an opportunity in the AFC on a contender. Worst case scenario in that scenario is that Caleb Williams has to outduel the team throwing the ball to DJ Moore in that Super Bowl. But
Or here's a twist: you trade him back to the Panthers.
Panthers could get emotional about it, especially if/when Mr. Tortilla McDonald, whatever that silly guy from Arizona is, he's going to flame out.
All right, man. I think we're going to call it a night here, right at an hour. So, unless you got something else, Carl. But
no, I mean, I just like going live for these types of things.
Yeah,
I
sure,
did
man.
I did the offline video earlier. If you guys have not watched that, it's essentially the same thing we've talked about. So don't waste your time. But
chat's been going off. I haven't blocked anybody. I've just let it go, dude. They're at each other.
I kind of want to see questions, right?
Yeah.
So the one question that I saw pop up was someone asked about the drafts for the division foes, not the draft per se, like the picks. I really like the Vikings acquiring Sam Howell from the Seahawks. You only had J.J. McCarthy on your roster as your only tenured quarterback. So getting a quality backup who could be molded by an elite head coach, I think that solidifies that there really isn't a scenario where the Vikings are not competitive, man. With the way that they've attacked the offseason with free agency, they did draft an offensive lineman in their first-round pick, which I was so certain that they were going to draft Nick Amanwari. Ironically, Nick Amanwari goes to the team that formerly had Cam Chancellor, probably the best comp for Amanwari, if we're being honest here. So I think that the Vikings are going to be the team that are going to be the scariest. As far as the draft for everyone, I don't know if they had a better or worse. I'd have to look into that, but let me see if I can figure it out real quick.
Yeah, if you want to. I was going to say I was going to cut it. So
if you want to cut it, by all means.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. So I'm sure I'll be on. I'm sure David will want to get his reactions out there. So we'll see you again shortly. So
we could
all right, have a good night. Yeah, you know it for sure.
All right, bear down, everybody. Publicly.
Yeah,
good night,
we should.
Everyone.
Hey, by the way, we'll finish this off, dude. We went 7 for 7 with the top 7 picks. In our,
I told you it was chalk.
So,
yeah, no, it is definitely chalk. We screwed up with the quarterback. I allowed you to tell me.
I know.
I allowed you to tell me.
I'm cutting it.
You said